Now, you are the chef. Jackie, you don't like cooking. I couldn't believe it. I mean, your first book, Zhuzh, did so incredibly well, and I had visions of the two of you chopping onions together, sautéing a little bit of garlic here and there, and then I found out that you like to sit and watch while he does the cooking.
Oh no, preferably not even watch. I sometimes feel obligated, like I must show vague interest. What are you doing with that? Oh, wow, mate. Oh, fat. Oh, no. I'd rather be doing anything else, and then Jeremy just calls me and says, dinner's ready. Pew! Hello, there I am, ready to eat. No, I love home-cooked food as long as I don't have to cook it.
And is he, just tell us, just between you and me.
Yes.
Is it really? Does he really cook all of the stuff in the kitchen?
Yes. Oh no, he uses it to de-stress. I mean, I turn to chocolate or a book or friends or coffee with friends. Oh no, Jeremy cooks. If he's stressed, he cooks. The one time he came off air and he was absolutely stressed out of his mind, and I think he cooked for 3 days. 3 days worth of meals, which he then banged in the freezer. Lucky me.
Jeremy,
so no, he loves it.
That is amazing.
I cook when I'm stressed, and when I'm not stressed, when I'm on holiday, that's when I start thinking of recipes.
So in your recipe book, Zhuzh, the first one, were they all of your recipes?
Most of them were ours. Some of them came from friends, things we'd picked up. But what usually happens with me from a recipe point of view is that...
You don't stick, I can imagine. You don't stick to the recipe.
No, I don't. I'll eat something when we're away on holiday, and I'll go, okay, that's nice, but I wonder what it would be like if you did this to it. Then I'll come home and try that. And then start playing and experimenting with it.
So you're an experimental chef.
Yes, I am, absolutely. I don't use recipe books. I'll read a recipe and go, well, more or less, yeah. But you know what? It probably would be better if you, instead of...
I read recipe books. I read them like I read science fiction. I get to the end and I go, yeah, like that's going to happen.
Well, at least someone cooks in the relationship.
No, she cooks in the relationship, I can promise you that.
Okay, moving along.
Yes. So Zhuzh faking it. Why Zhuzh faking it? Jackie, why faking it? Is that because of you?
I can't answer that in public. Yes, I fake it.
Sorry.
It was really, we started thinking about the book just when the recession was biting. What a pun. No pun intended. And we thought, it would be about like using ingredients, stretching meals, maximizing food, like making your budget go that much further. And also then the selling point for the book would be that you could take a main starter dessert and you could feed a family of 4 for under 100 Rand. And then a large retailer beginning with a W actually stole that idea from us before we could get it to print. Damn. But we decided to stick with the faking it aspect. But this time... it would be faking it, not so much just the ingredients like a lobster bisque that doesn't have lobster in it, but also faking it in that you can put out this magnificent meal that people think you've spent 3 days preparing. Meantime, you've walked in 20 minutes before your guests are due and you've managed to just whisk all of this, whatever cooking term, whisk, zhuzh, all of the stuff together. Yeah, so it looks like it's either taken a lot of time or a lot of money or a lot of effort, but it hasn't really, which equals
But listen, this is what people need.
Yes, exactly.
So Jeremy, before you put all of this in a cookbook, do you try all of this?
Yeah. That's why one of our partners in both of our cookbooks has been Southern Sun, because we've used their kitchens and their staff, and we go in and we start playing. Because as I said, I think of things to cook when we're on holiday. And when you're sitting on an island in the middle of the Maldives and you go, okay, you'll need a handful of coriander. How much is a handful? You can't nip down to your Pick and Pay and just go, okay, well, that's 125 grams, so a handful would be 75 grams. So when I come back, I write down the basis of the recipe. When I come back, that's when I go into the Southern Sun kitchen and I start playing. And then that's when you invite the chefs around and you say, guys, listen, taste this. What do you think? And one will say, maybe it needs to be a bit hotter, maybe a bit more pepper, maybe a bit more ginger. And you play that way. But in Zhuzh faking it, I can tell you one thing, that there is the best kneidlach recipe
Is there?
you have ever had in your life.
Not that I've met anybody who makes
recipe,
not
please?
out of a box.
Gertie, yeah, it's not out of a box. It's the real thing. Gertie Averbuch. Suzanne Wheel's mother. Gertie used to write the cooking column for The Citizen for years and years and years. And that is Gertie's knedlach recipe, and it is the best knedlach recipe you will ever find. So if there are any bobbers listening,
Knedlach, the best ever.
the best ever.
In Zhuj faking it.
Yes.
And you also take us on your wonderful adventures. Boy, have you guys travelled.
Not enough.
No,
There's
not
so
enough.
many places to still go to. But yeah, it was quite interesting because the format, it follows the format of the first book, because the brief was, we want the same kind of book. It must be the same, but it must be different and it must be better. So we kind of stuck with what we did in the first book, which is an anecdotal cookbook. And it's interesting to see how many more have come out in the same style now. So
Well, people like it because it gives an insight into your lives, and people are fascinated.
yeah, it's so much more than just a recipe.
It tells a wonderful story. Is there any particular dish that you, Jackie, you enjoy eating?
Yes, and I actually cook it.
No.
Yes.
Really, Jeremy?
The World Cup balls.
And tell us about the World Cup balls.
Well, do you want a description of what it is, or do you want?
Tell us what it is.
Okay,
At least
it is phyllo pastry, less than 1 gram of fat, so it's practically a diet dessert. One little sheet rolled up like a giant sweet around a Lindt chocolate ball, and then just quickly flash fried, just in and out, so that the chocolate just turns to liquid. And you can dust it with icing sugar if you're not watching your weight. Otherwise, skip the icing sugar.
A World Cup ball with Lindt, one of those Lindt balls
Those Lindor
inside.
books, the balls, yeah.
We called it FIFA World Cup balls because Jackie discovered this during the FIFA World Cup. And the publishers, bless their little cotton socks, the silly people.
We realize it's much easier to apologize than ask for permission.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wrote to FIFA and said, can we use the word FIFA World Cup balls? They
We wanted to use, and ticket stubs.
Yeah.
So
And,
we got this
we got this-
long email back.
I can't imagine they would have said, sure thing.
No, well, they didn't even say yay or nay. We just got like a 16,000 word email on terms and conditions to apply for permission to actually use it. So we thought,
Okay, so they're just World Cup balls.
So no,
No,
they're
they're
FIFA,
FIFA.
World Cup, but it's spelled FEEFAWHIRLD. And we've trademarked
we go,
that. So
Blatter.
if Sepp Blatter tries to use that, we'll sue him.
Or you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Other way. And what are you, I even love this, but what is your favorite dish to make, Jeremy?
You know what? The as Jackie was saying, the first basis of the book was on cost cutting recipes, and because of that, I started looking at different cuts of meat. And there's a brisket bake in there that is absolutely magnificent. The people have forgotten. I think the Jewish community is probably the only community that still remembers the really good cuts of meat, like your brisket and your shin and neck and all of those sort of cuts of meat, which are a lot cheaper than the other cuts of meat. They take a lot longer to cook, but they soak up a lot more flavor. So there's a brisket bake in there that I absolutely adore. It's lentil and brisket bake. But there's also a duck bobotie. Now, bobotie to me has always been a bit of a fatty...
Rich. Too
yeah.
rich sometimes.
Yeah, but there's also a fair amount of fat.
Plus,
even
it's
if
a
you
nursery
use,
rhyme creature, and I don't think you should eat nursery rhyme creatures.
Listen,
Ducks, rabbits,
can
bunnies.
can I have a chat with
Lamb.
Niki?
Coming
here?
from our vegetarian.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Whenever I've tasted bobotie, there's always been a fatty taste to it. Even if you use lean mince, it still draws out the fat. And we were on Rovos Rail down to Cape Town, and what they do on Rovos Rail is they serve, when you're going through the Karoo, for example, they'll serve Karoo lamb.
Yeah.
When you're going through the winelands, they serve a bobotie. And I never forget eating it, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is still a bit fatty, even though it's beautifully done. And I started thinking of other cuts of meat you could put in, and I thought of duck breast because it's very, very dry. And tried it with duck breast, and it is absolutely magnificent. And you use so little duck breast because duck has got such a strong flavor. And you get the strong,
Rich, isn't it?
yeah. So you get the strong duck flavor coming through in a bobotie, and it's absolutely magnificent.
Listen, these recipes look delish. Have you had a great response? I mean, having a bestseller with Zhuj and now Zhuj faking it, was it a hard act to follow? Were you under a little bit of pressure?
It was very hard act, yeah, because the first book won Best Cookbook in South Africa, and it won 2 other media awards, and then it went on to win 3rd Best Cookbook in the world at the Gourmand
It
Awards.
beat Jamie Oliver.
So
That is fantastic.
it was a lot of pressure, yeah. It's already sold over 20,000,
Yeah.
nearly 25, over 20,000 copies. So it's a multiple bestseller already. But yeah.
Just to give you an
Pressure.
idea, South African cookbook will sell between 3,000 and 6,000.
And you've already sold over 20.
Yeah, Zhuge, the first cookbook, sold close to 60,000.
Yeah.
Just quickly, Zhuge, why the name Zhuge?
Oh, you tell the story because this audience will love this story.
We found out, I asked a friend of mine who's a bit of a wordsmith, like, first of all, how do you spell it? And it was while she was investigating that she came up with the meaning of the word. And I didn't realize it. I thought it was a South African, first of all, I thought it was like a global word that was used in the gay community, like.
Zhuge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my doll, is she not looking so Zhuge tonight?
Zhuge.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm with you.
But it turns out it's actually a Johannesburg word. And I found out too, when we said to the publishers, this is what we want, I mean, they hated the name and they didn't know how to spell it. And they said, no one knows what it means. And I thought, how can they not know? Cape Town, I mean, it's getting there, but it's actually a Johannesburg word. And it goes back to early 1900s when business was very much downtown Johannesburg. And a section of the city, all of the tailors were found in the one area. And most of the tailors were Jewish. And you would find people, especially the migrant labor from the mines who couldn't afford new clothing or so on, and it needed to be repaired. They would take it to the Jewish tailors.
Yes.
And their collective word for it would be the Amajuj, the Jews. So it's a contraction and twist on the word Jewish.
Amajuj.
Really?
Amajuj. So you went to the Amajuj to get your suit
Improved.
Not
Improved.
no.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the meaning hasn't changed.
Interesting.
It still means to improve and to give something a little bit, something extra.
What a brilliant name, Zhuge. Well, you've taught me something, and our listeners as well. Before we wrap up, I just want to read out an SMS. Hi, Niki. Perhaps you could convince Jeremy to join forces with you, and you could then call the station 94 Heaven Highveld Stereo.
Nice one.
Jeremy,
Love it.
Jackie, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming in.
Niki.
I know you're exhausted. Your hearts are still pounding, having driven away from shooting maniacs. But welcome back, and great
Thank
work
you.
that you're doing, and every success. Aren't you going to be at the wine and food, good food and wine show?
Yes, we are. Next Sunday. I think it's next
Is
Sunday.
it next Sunday
The
already?
25th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where is that?
The Dome, we are doing the slot on the Sunday. I think it's at
3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's
3
just
o'clock
before,
at the Good Food and Wine Show.
just before Gordon
Are
Ramsay.
you going to be just before Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah,
Are you going to be cooking?
Yes,
What are you
yeah.
going to be making? Can you tell us?
I haven't got the vacancy idea. I haven't even thought about it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that's fantastic. So that's next Sunday.
Yeah,
Yes.
next Sunday.
Lovely, lovely. Guys, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you,
all the
Niki.
best. Take care.
Ta-ta.
Take care.
Ta-ta.